Carpentry by NJT is based in the Western Suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's Western Suburbs, including ambitious State League One outfit Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show. Good evening, folks, and a very, very warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us here on the Football Out West show. It is episode 115, or if you like, season 5, episode 13. Cannot believe it's already episode 13. My name is Tonci Prusak. Thank you, folks, for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you on the very, very first Sunday in winter, but to certainly warm your hearts and with a lot of football action from this weekend is a new co-host for tonight, stepping into the shoes of Steve Curtin and or Craig Filer. A very warm welcome to the Football Out West show, Mark Ivkovic. Mark, how are you?
Thank you, Tonci. I'm doing well. Long-time listener, first-time host.
Yes, that's right. We really appreciate you stepping into the fold today. And before we go any further, a big shout out to my colleague Steve Curtin, who is today away for a very, very good reason. He's celebrating his 40th birthday this weekend, and he's been given the weekend off. So, Mark, you've been fantastic to step into those shoes, and a big shout out to Craig Filer as well, who normally would be here with us. He's unfortunately unable to be so, but he has organised some ripping guests tonight, Mark. We've got a heap of guests, and have you got the list there? Tell us who's appearing on the show tonight.
Yeah, first guest for this evening will be one of Kingston's head coaches, CON TANGALAKIS, and then that will be followed by Preston's head coach, LOU ACEVSKI. Then we'll take a dive down through to State 2 and the Western Suburbs assistant coach, MARIJAN CVITKOVIC. And our last guest for the evening will be the Box Hill MPLW coach, BOBBY ZDRAVKOVSKI.
That's right. We'll also be hearing from John Markovski, the Altona Magic coach, and his son and the leading goal scorer of the NPL Victoria competition, Jonas Markovski, the big Western Region derby yesterday held in Geelong, down in at Alco Park, North Geelong, taking on Altona Magic, which I had the pleasure of calling, actually. Mark, did you do any commentary this weekend?
Yes, I did the big old school Melbourne derby between Melbourne Knights and South Melbourne on Friday night at Summer Street.
We'll be hearing a lot about that a little bit later on, folks. So as you've seen, there's going to be some great guests on tonight, and with Mark and myself, we'll be with you probably for the next, I reckon, hour and a half, because there's that much content tonight, and we're going to get straight into it with the news desk. So, folks, don't go away. It is the Football Out West show you are listening to.
Welcome to Anytime Fitness in Werribee.
The club with the most supportive, welcoming and friendliest members and staff.
Whether you're a first-timer, gym goer or just an everyday person, we are here for you.
Recently renovated facility offers you everything you need to get started with your health and fitness goals.
Our club offers brand new state-of-the-art cardio equipment, an amazing functional zone for group classes, a lifting zone, and really does cater for every single person. So don't miss out. Come see us in club to redeem this offer.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show, Mark. Last night, let's turn our attention with the A-League derby, the A-League Grand Final. Up in Sydney. Yes, a controversial decision to award Sydney the hosting rights for the next 3 years. But after last night's derby, we'll talk a little bit about the game itself. But what are your thoughts? Was the APL justified in their decision or not?
Probably in their minds they would be, because they did make a fair bit of money on doing that deal. So, the crowd was okay. It would have been a sellout had it been in Melbourne, or if Central Coast were to host the final. It was 26,000 in the end, so still a decent turnout considering it was at a neutral venue. But
I wonder how much of that was freebies.
Yeah, that's the next point. Look, definitely think they sold their soul doing it, but they've been struggling financially, and I suppose they probably had no choice but to do a deal to get some money in.
Yeah, well, it was an unbelievable result in the game. Whether you are a fan of the A-League or not, whether you are a fan of the decision that was awarded or not, but Central Coast 6-1 winners over Melbourne City. Now, who would have thought that? We had Jason Cummings scoring a hat-trick, Silvera, and I'm not going to pronounce this right, Benny, and Moresche scoring a goal as well, and then Van der Ven for Melbourne City. So in the end, it was a very one-sided grand final. A couple of penalties there as well, as we'll see. But look, Scott Jamieson finishing up with or retiring after this, not the way to go out, I guess, Mark.
No, definitely not. He didn't see any minutes either. He was an unused substitute in the game. But yeah, it was actually a lot closer than it was. It kind of blew out the last 10 minutes of the game, but Melbourne City were right in it up until probably this penalty from Jason Cummings went in. But yeah, it was, I don't watch too much A-League. It was probably the first full 90 that I'd watched all season, but it was quite an entertaining game, especially in the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Melbourne City, they may not have done too well, but certainly overnight their parent body, Manchester City, they took out the FA Cup 2-1 win over the old rivals, Manchester United. So at least someone in the City group is happy, Mark.
Yeah, I'm a Man United supporter, so I'm not too happy. And actually scored the quickest FA Cup final goal of all time. It was 12 seconds or 14 seconds. Gundogan opened the scoring for Manchester City last night.
Yeah, well, and that's the as you can see, like a decent sized crowd, as you can see. Obviously, I think there was something like 17 or 18 buses from Gosford that did make their way down to Sydney. So all in all, I guess the end product, the end result is a decent crowd, a unbelievable game, and a lot of stories and subplots and what you're not. But turning our attention now to the Australia Cup. This week sees a couple of games, and then next week another 3 games. Let's go through those fixtures coming up this week.
Yeah, we've got Heidelberg and St Albans facing up against each other again on Tuesday night. They played in the last round of the NPL on Friday night. Heidelberg winning that 3-0. So St Albans a lot of work to do to try and progress to the round of 32. And Hume City with the very difficult task of going to the Goulburn Valley Suns on Tuesday night. I don't think anyone fancies a trip
midweek.
Yeah, that's being involved at club level. For the past 5 years, I always hoped that we never had to go to Goulburn Valley, and we never did, fortunately. So it's a very tricky tie for Hume City on Tuesday.
Yeah, 7:30 p.m. kickoff both at the Olympic Village and John McEwen Reserve. Then the following week on June the 13th, We've got Northcote City playing host to Clifton Hill. That's at John Cain Memorial Park. Kick-off 7:30 p.m. The Melbourne Knights, on paper, have got a relatively easy draw, easy fixture, but cup's a cup. You never know with a cup game. They take on the Yarraville FC at Knights Stadium. That's a 7:30 p.m. kickoff as well. And then Oakley Cannons, who are on fire at the moment in the NPL, they take on NPL3 outfit Geelong Soccer Club at 8 p.m. and that's at Jack Edwards Reserve. Mark, let's quickly go through this and give me your tips. First of all, Heidelberg United, St Albans Saints. Yes, Heidelberg won 3-0 in the league game on the weekend. Can the Saints reverse this?
I actually got a feeling St Albans will make a comeback and be another Croatian-backed club to make the national round of 32. There's already a few clubs that have qualified. Canberra, Croatia did it yesterday, so there's about 4 or 5 that have already qualified. I think Hume City will be too strong for Goulburn Valley. Northcote, I think,
despite the long trip to Shepparton midweek,
I think just a little bit too much class and too much riding on the game to not get it right for Hume.
I agree.
Northcote with Željko Kuzman at the helm, I think will get past Clifton Hill, but that's no easy game for Northcote because Clifton Hill knocked out Port Melbourne a couple of rounds ago. So, and they've got quite a few ex-NPL players in their team. Harry Noon's down there and John McShane. So it's quite a good squad that they've got. Melbourne Knights, you'd say, would have to get past Yarraville quite comfortably. And likewise with Oakley against Geelong, you'd say Oakley would go through quite comfortably as well.
I agree with you. I think, though, Heidelberg United is the only one I think Heidelberg United will defeat St Albans Saints. Heidelberg United over the weekend had their big 65th anniversary celebration, and a big shout out to Andy Pascalides, good old Andy Pascalides, who was the co-host. Andy is coming down to Melbourne again in July. Stay tuned, folks. He's involved with an organisation called Heartbeat for Football, and it's got a lot to do with preventing heart disease with footballers. A big program being, a big program being organised as we speak. So stay tuned to that one. But yeah, Heidelberg, I think, will be celebrating their 65th anniversary by making it through to the national stage. That's my tick. But all the other games, I agree with you. I'm pretty sure. Hume, you will make it. I reckon Melbourne Knights will. I think Northcote City will. And definitely Oakley will. All right, well, we're going to take a very, very quick break. When we return, we are going to look at the NPL Victoria competition, starting with the top division, the NPL competition. Don't go away.
Carpentry by NJT is based in the Western Suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's Western Suburbs, including ambitious State League 1 outfit Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show.
Well, we're back to the Football Out West show, and it's time now to look at the NPL Victoria competition. Round 16 of the competition has been completed. Mark, you've got the results there.
Yes, started on Friday night with the original Melbourne derby between the two giants, South Melbourne and Melbourne Knights. South Melbourne getting up 2-1 there. It was quite an entertaining game. Melbourne Knights, probably the opening 45 minutes, they were the best I've seen them all season. But South Melbourne, they play the most effective football that I've seen. They play the percentages and do what they need to do to win a game and got over the line in the end with a probably a deserved 2-1 victory, but the Knights won't fire off, causing an upset there. Green Gully defeated Bentley Greens 3-1 at home. I don't know if you saw Tonci, but there was a bit of a incident when Green Gully got the penalty to get the second goal of the game. Nawal Bernarda wanted to take the penalty for Green Gully, but Pierce Leary wasn't having any of it, and I don't think you'll be seeing Bernarda playing another game for Green Gully, I reckon, after that, because...
Oh, really?
He threw a big hissy fit and stormed off the pitch, and then they actually made a substitution, and he refused to celebrate with his teammates and straight down the tunnel. Wasn't a good look at all for Noel Bernardo, and I'd be surprised if I saw him play again for Green Gully, to be honest.
Not at that level, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, the Oakley Cannons, they took on a Dandenong Thunder. That was at the Jack Edwards Reserve. Oakley Cannons have got a series of games at Jack Edwards Reserve, and they did it well. Wasn't all smooth sailing, was it, Mark?
No, it wasn't. Dandenong Thunder gave as good as they got during that game, and it was level for a little bit, and it took Alex Salmon penalty to get over the line for Oakley. So not a comfortable victory there, but 3 points nonetheless for Oakley, and they just keep on keeping that third position on the table. And Heidelberg back to a bit of form with a 3-0 win over a struggling St Albans side that just can't seem to get it going at the moment.
No, they really are struggling. On Saturday, we had the remainder of the game. So there was no games today, all of the games being played on Saturday, but some big scores there, starting with the clash at CB Smith Reserve between Moreland City and Port Melbourne Sharks.
Yes, birthday boy Steve Kernan called that one. Port Melbourne with a comfortable 5-0 win with the ex-Melbourne Knights player Dor Jock scoring a hat-trick against Moreland City. They breezed through that one, really. They were never in trouble. And to the game that you called, Tonci, North Geelong versus Altona Magic, another 5-0 scoreline for the two newly promoted teams. Not a good weekend for them.
No, it was a very, very one-sided game, that one. Altona Magic, right from the start, they were composed. They were systematic. They were well organised through across their defence, and North Geelong were they did not look like they were going to score, number one. And number two, every time they tried to venture forward, they just did so with long, hopeful balls. And you know what? Honestly, they would have had a better chance if they had taken out a lottery ticket for next Thursday's Powerball, because they just could not, just had no inspiration whatsoever. But Altona Magic, on the other hand, look, this win now takes them to within 2 points. We'll bring that ladder up again. Takes them to within 2 points of Dandenong Thunder. And look, I tell you what, next week they take on Moreland City. They've got a very, very good chance of knocking on the door of the top six. Here's what the father and son combination had to say after the game. Jonas Markovsky, who is the leading goal scorer of the competition at the moment, and also his father and coach, John Markovsky, the legendary Jonesy. Markovsky, the leading marksman of the NPL Victoria competition. Today, after a 5-0 drubbing of North Geelong Warriors, the Altona Magic. Jonas, you find yourself now 2 points from the top six from Dandenong Thunder. You scored a goal today, complete dominance today. How did you see the game today, and how do you see your chances of playing in the finals this year?
Obviously, finals is the goal, so that's the best way to put it. So we're just fighting every game now. Just looking forward to the next game, Moreland City next week, Gully after that. Our chances, how we are on the day. The boys did a good shift today, put 5 past a decent solid defence. But yeah, still just got to be solid and hopefully get our points.
Now, you must be really happy with your performance. 10 goals so far this season, so you're the leading marksman of the NPL Victoria competition. How are you finding the season so far?
Yeah, it's good. The team sort of suits the play for sort of how I'm attacking. But yeah, as long as we're all scoring and we're all winning, the goals doesn't matter to me. It's just all about winning. That's pretty much it.
John Markovsky, the triumphant coach of Altona Magic after a 5-0 win over North Geelong Warriors. John, how did you see the game first of all?
Oh, look, well composed. We had momentum from the start to the finish. I'm really proud of the boys. The boys did really well. Not only scoring 5 goals, we also didn't concede. So we had a clean sheet, which was great.
The win now takes it to within 2 points of Dandenong Thunder, who are in 6th spot. So definitely a finals berth is there for the taking.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're looking up. It's the only place to look to see who we can catch, and we'll enjoy it tonight and then concentrate on Monday for the next game.
Yeah, Moreland City next week. Now they also got obviously a drubbing today against Port Melbourne, but obviously the wounded side. Always you can't take that team the complacency. I guess you can't take it for granted. What's going to be the main focus of the training this week leading up to that game?
Oh, look, on Monday we'll assess the players just to see what niggles and knocks they've got. After that, I think Aaron Anderson should be available, which is great. So within this week and next week, at least we've got 3 defenders back, which would help us a great deal.
Fantastic. And if we look at the final game, Avondale, they defeated Hume City 1-0, I think it was, and they are on top with South Melbourne and sitting pretty at the top of the competition standings. Oakley have opened up a bit of a gap now over the Melbourne Knights, but that battle for 6th spot at the moment: Dandenong Thunder, Green Gully, Altona Magic, and dare I say a rejuvenated Heidelberg United. All of those could quite well jump into that 6th spot. But Mark, at the other end of the top competition standings, North Geelong, well, they're certain for relegation. Who will join them? Will it be Bentley Greens? Will it be Moreland City? Or could it even be St Albans? Yeah, that's going to be a real cutthroat battle for the drop.
Yeah, definitely. You would have expected Bentley to start picking up results now, but the transfer window does open up, I think, in about 2 weeks' time. So I'd imagine that those clubs near the bottom will definitely look to strengthen. Most definitely Bentley. I think they'll bring in some big names and find a way to get out of that position. And then, it's a flip of the coin, really. You need to find a way to get some form. They're down the bottom for a reason and they're out of form. So you need to turn it around very, very quickly because games are starting to run out.
That's true. That is very, very true. Next week, we've got round 17. It all kicks off on Friday night with 2 good games. Port Melbourne Sharks taking on Green Gully at JL Murphy Reserve, and then Oakley Cannons hosting Heidelberg United in the big Greek derby at Jack Edwards Reserve. On Saturday, we've got 3 games there as well. Avondale hosting bottom side North Geelong Warriors. Doesn't get any easier for the Warriors. Bentley Greens at home to the Melbourne Knights, and that's going to be a tough one for Bentley Greens. The Knights looking to get back on the winners list. But as we mentioned in that little chat with John Markovsky, Altona Magic taking on Moreland City. That game's at Paisley Park on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, we've got 2 more games, Mark, to round out round 17.
Yes, St Albans are taking on Hume City at Churchill Reserve. I think
crucial game.
Yeah, big game, especially at Churchill Reserve. That's an opportunity for St Albans to get some points back on the board. And then South Melbourne at home to Dandenong Thunder. So on Sunday afternoon.
Well, that's another interesting game because if South Melbourne, who are very, very hard to beat at Lakeside, and Dandenong Thunder cannot afford to drop any points being in 6th position. So, a very, very exciting, very interesting competition in the NPL Victoria. But nothing as exciting and nothing as twisted as the competition of chaos, NPL2. And on any given day, anyone can win. And we saw some more wild and windy results happen over the weekend. Mark, when we return, we'll analyse NPL2 and we'll be speaking to 2 of the coaches who currently are sitting in 1st and 2nd position on the ladders. We'll be speaking to CON TANGALAKIS from Kingston City straight after this break. So, folks, don't go away. We'll be back with the competition of chaos that is NPL2 Victoria.
Welcome to Anytime Fitness in Werribee.
The club with the most supportive, welcoming and friendliest members and staff.
Whether you're a first-timer, gym goer or just an everyday person, we are here for you.
A recently renovated facility offers you everything you need to get started with your health and fitness goals.
Our club offers brand new state-of-the-art cardio equipment, an amazing functional zone for group classes, a lifting zone, and really does cater for every single person. So don't miss out. Come see us in club to redeem this offer.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show, Mark. It's time now for our next guest.
Yes, we've got Kingston City co-head coach, CON TANGALAKIS.
Con, good evening and very, very warm welcome to you. How are you?
Good evening, gentlemen. Hope you're both well.
We are indeed on this very wintry Sunday night. But I tell you what, for fans of Kingston City at the moment, things are looking very, very warm and happy is the best way to describe it. If we take a look at the competition standings after the weekend's round of matches, sitting there in second spot, overtaken Western United, and on the weekend, let's go through some of those results, Mark. Let's go through all of the results, starting with the games on Friday night.
Yeah, so Pascoe Vale with probably a surprise victory, 3-2 over Western United, who missed the chance to go back on top. They'll be disappointed with that. Kingston with a 3-3 draw with Werribee City. We'll get into that shortly. Brunswick Juventus getting on the winners' board, but a much-needed victory for Grange Reserve. 2-1 victory over Northcote City. Preston with a massive 2-1 victory against Dandenong City, which was a mouth-watering clash, really, and Preston did well to get over the line there. And Saturday afternoon, we had Preston Lions with a 3-0 victory, which they also needed to get some points on the board. Melbourne City continued their resurgence with a 2-1 win over Eastern Lions, and Manningham United with a 2-1 victory away to Brunswick City.
But let's return back to that Kingston City game against Werribee City. 3-3. Con, geez, take us through the game. It had lots of goals, lots of action, and a lot of end-to-end excitement.
Excuse me. Yeah, it was an amazing game. I must admit, it was from the start to the finish exciting. A lot of action, a lot of goals, penalties missed, turnovers. My mate Dom changed the formation 4 or 5 times. I was getting confused as to which way to play. I actually pulled him up at the end of the game. I actually asked, how many times you changed the formation? He gave me a smile. He goes, just enough time to equalise with you. So,
it's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow, though. Con with the 93rd minute equaliser. It would have been a massive 3 points to get, considering the way the results went over the weekend.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like you guys said, this season's very interesting. It's like no one actually wants to go on top of the ladder. Every time someone gets the opportunity, we fumble it. So it's very interesting. Like with Werribee, we've dropped 5 out of the 6 points this year. So everyone's in on it. If you look at the ladder, a couple of games you can be in relegation zone. A couple of games you could be in top 2. So very, very interesting league. I don't actually remember a league, even when I was a youngster playing, I don't ever remember a league this close ever.
No.
What do you think the reason is, Con? Why teams that are near the top just can't get that stranglehold on the competition?
Well, I don't know if they can't get the stranglehold. It's just I think teams that are coming up from lower all have the ability and the experience to win games. Everyone in this league can beat. There's no team that can't beat another team in this league, and it's been proven. So I think it's very, very fair to say that it's quite an equal standard. I know some of the teams have made an announcement that they have to or must or want to go up. Some teams are happy to sort of say we're happy to sort of be mid-table contenders, and some have said we're lucky not to get relegated. Well, I can tell you now it's not the case this year. Absolutely. So it's going to be a very, very interesting run home at the end of the last few games. So.
Yeah, Con, with clubs like Preston who have come in, they're obviously very ambitious. Not only are they wanting to get to NPL Victoria, but they're wanting to get to the National Second Division. You've got a rebadged Brunswick Juventus looking to recapture their glory. Western United obviously getting promoted from NPL3 last year. So a lot of ambition that maybe wasn't there that last year. Is it the extra expectation? Is it the expectation, the anticipation? All that, is that maybe something that's kind of mixed in the ingredients, making it so dynamic, making it so inconsistent in your eyes?
Possibly, but you got to understand. There's a lot of boys that have dropped down from NPL to our level that are still good enough to take on games on their own shoulders. Teams like Preston, I mean, you got to give them merit. They fill up stadiums week in, week out. They bring the excitement back to the football. Everyone wants to play Preston. Everyone wants Preston to travel and come to. It's definitely made the comp a lot more exciting this year. Western United, they're a good ball playing team. You know that you're going to get a good game. You know that you're going to be on your toes. You know that you can't astray or miss a second ball because you'll get punished by these youngsters. So overall, the mix is, I think, it's a quality mix this year. It's a good standard. I've watched a lot of games. Literally, there's no team that you can sort of pinpoint and say they shouldn't be in this league. It's well organised comp this year, and it's like I said, it's going to go right down to the wire. So it's credit to all the teams, I'd say, this year. It's exciting times.
Yeah.
It's funny, you look at the fixture in NPL2 and you go, geez, that's a blockbuster game. That's a blockbuster game. Well, that's a blockbuster game too. Whereas I think it's more exciting than NPL1. Sometimes you look, oh, yeah, it's a pretty straightforward game, that one, but not in NPL2.
Tell you now, you don't want to be a gambler or betting man in this league.
No, definitely not.
No, well, if we do take a look at the fixtures coming up on Friday night, Dandenong City taking on Werribee City at home, big game there. Langwarrin Eastern Lions, the Eastern Suburbs derby, that's a massive one. Then we've got all of these little, I call them plots and subplots and little mini rivalries. Brunswick Juventus taking on Bulleen Lions. That's a CB Smith Reserve on Friday, the Italian derby. But not only that, it's the battle for getting out of the relegation zone. You've got Preston Lions taking on Western United, the old and the new, I guess. That's at BT Connor Reserve as well on Friday night. What a big game that is. But the biggest one of all, the big Greek derby at John Cain Reserve, Northcote City taking on Kingston City. These games, they have that little bit of added spice, a little bit of that added rivalry when you come up against a fellow Greek club?
Oh, look, definitely. Don't forget my co-coach, Gus Chalakis. He was the coach at Northcote. I coached at Northcote while he was overseas a few years ago. We've exchanged a few players in the last couple of years. Both committees were mates, so the spectators have got big expectations on both ends. We're both challenging for the top spots it's so close. I mean, they're only a game behind us, so it's game on Friday, on for young and old. So basically, bring it on. So let the best prevail. So it'll be interesting. It'll be good. Let's get the spectators there. You know what I mean? It's all derbies are healthy derbies in my eyes. That
absolutely
should be. So looking forward to that one on Friday. So boys are looking forward to it as well. I mean, first round we came out on top. Hopefully we start off on the front foot again this Friday, and hopefully the weather holds off. Their stadium, their ground is actually perfect compared to the last few years. Interesting. It'll be very interesting games.
Just a two-part question for you, Con. One, how does the dynamic between you and Peter Salakis work with obviously both of you being the head coach? And two, do you think him coming in is one of the key reasons why there's been such a turnaround this season? Well, because if it wasn't for the restructure of the competitions, you probably would have been relegated last season.
Well, look, I'll go back to 2 years ago when I first took over Kingston. We were travelling on top of the ladder again. Then COVID hit. We had a very successful year that year. We're probably looking at promotion that year. Last year, we released it. Well, I'm a big advocate to boys moving up in leagues. And if I can help, especially the younger boys, to move up, I do that. We actually released enough boys thinking that we were safe in our comp. And then with Werribee getting awarded the points on Manningham and that last game, they were down and done. We ended up in playoff. So I don't think it was actually a very unsuccessful season for Kingston. On paper, it might look that way, but overall, I don't think it really was. We didn't expect to find ourselves in that playoff, but the boys lifted on the final game. And luckily we didn't go down. Then I invited Gus to come and join me at Kingston because we worked together at Oakley for 3 years. We had a very successful run. I've known Gus for from 5 years old. We were Port Melbourne. We grew up playing at Port Melbourne together. We worked together very well. We exchange ideas and coaching. We got a very good understanding between us. And when you're working with someone that you've known for so many years, and there's a lot of positive vibes around the club room, and you've got the right players in your change room, definitely it's a good recipe for success. So by the decision getting Gus involved this year, I think was probably very positive and something that I'm very proud that I've done. And yeah, going back to your question, I think it's Gus coming in has definitely helped the club and definitely helped the morale. And Gus has had a wealth of experience both as a player and as a coach. So it's obviously been brought in on a positive note, and the players have taken it on board, and it's working very well. So hopefully the recipe is the proper recipe, and we don't have to tweak it much.
Well, it certainly looks like things are doing very, very well there for Kingston City, currently sitting in second spot on the competition standings after round 16. Con, we're going to have to leave it there. Unfortunately, we've got another 3 guests, a jam-packed episode tonight, and we've also got the Preston Lions coach, LOU ACEVSKI, coming on very, very shortly. But in the meantime, mate, all the very, very best to you and to Gus and to Kingston City for the remainder of this season. We'll have to get you on before the season's end.
Definitely. Gentlemen, thank you very much, and congratulations on your show, and I hope it's very successful week in, week out. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. It's certainly successful when we've got great coaches like yourself coming on each week and clubs like yours being profiled. So we thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Take care. Have a good evening.
You too.
Good on you. Well, Mark, as we said, the competition of chaos, it is just getting even more exciting. And if we have a quick look at that ladder, once again, Preston Lions on top. They've opened up a 3-point gap, but, 1 week you can expect a win. Next week you can probably expect a loss, or you don't know what to expect. Western United have lost their last 2 games, so they've been now dethroned. Dandenong City lost on the weekend, and it was a very narrow loss, a 1-2 loss to Preston. And the coach of the victorious Preston Lions joins us, LOU ACEVSKI. Lou, welcome back to the Football Out West show. We've had you on several times, and you're always a very, very welcome guest on this show. How are you?
Yeah, really good, guys. Yourself?
Yeah, excellent. I think the last time we had you on the show, your voice was hoarse because of all the celebrating and all the screaming from the previous night's game. But on Friday night, it was a tense game. It was a very, very good quality game. Yet another big crowd. How did you see Friday night's game?
Yeah, it was a really open game of football. Both teams came out for the win. I just thought we were a little bit better at taking our chances, obviously, and we scored a couple of goals, and probably should have killed the game off a little bit more after that and scored a third or even potentially a fourth. But then we conceded one in injury time and put ourselves under pressure for a minute or two. But the boys held out, and again, a solid win that I believe we deserved.
Now, Louis, don't take this the wrong way, but everyone wants to see you fail, not me. I hope you guys go up. I think it'd be fantastic for NPL1 or Miss Preston being in the big boys competition. I remember as a kid always going to games, and when Preston came to Knight Stadium, or just live around the corner from Green Gully, there was always a full house. So the quicker you come up, the better. But you've got a target on your back, and just because I think you are the benchmark for nearly every club in Victoria. I've been involved with the Knights for the last 5 years, and I think, they can even take some knowledge out of what you guys are doing with the way you run the club off the pitch. But do you feel that pressure, that you are the hunted and everyone wants to see you lose? And do you feel that pressure from the football community?
No, to be honest, no, we don't feel that pressure. It's a pity if clubs don't want us to succeed, because as your previous guest, as Tanga said, we take 1,000, 2,000 people to away games, and that's the biggest earners for the opposition clubs. So I think it's a benefit for Victorian football if we are in the highest leagues possible, and we keep bringing our fantastic supporters to away games, and at the same time we keep filling up BT Connor reserves. So look, it's you mentioned it, Mark. It's everybody comes to BT Connor on a Friday night. There's 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people on that night there, and the ground's in perfect nick. The lights are going, game's live on social media, and they know that it's going to be a lot of attention there. But our boys know that they're in for a game of their life that Friday night, and that's okay. We expect that, and we don't want anything different, to be honest, because that target on our back is an honour, if I'm being completely upfront and frank with it, because as the boys of the club, starting from our president David Cvitkovsky and his committee, and are doing a great job. So yes, off the ground, on the ground, the boys are doing great. Our junior setups moving forward with leaps and bounds. Our women's program is out of this world. So I am being biased, obviously being part of the club, but reality is reality, and fact is fact.
No, 100% agree.
Now, Lou, I was going to say, Lou, we spoke to Con about this, talk, the competition of chaos and how he sees it. But your first year in the NPL2 competition after getting promoted last year from NPL3, and there's just been so much. Everything's been just taken to a whole new level. How have you experienced NPL2 football, both as a coach and as your club as a whole?
Look, once we got promoted, obviously last season, and we found out, teams like Kingston Lions dropping down from NPL1, I had a good look at the league and saw the clubs involved, and I knew there would be at least 8 clubs that would be challenging for the top 2 spots. Expectation was that teams will, every team can beat them, beat each other during the weekend or week in, week out. There is going to be ups and downs. There's going to be injuries at clubs. Things might not happen the way you want them to happen one weekend, and the other team, the opposition team, is just as good as you. So if you're not awake, if you're not ready, if you're not, you haven't done your research, your homework, and your opposition team, you're in big trouble every week. So for me, it's going to continue like this till the rest of the season, because there's so many good teams in this standard, in this league, and there's so many teams fighting to get promoted next year to move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, I think you can see, like, even in the table with the goal difference, that's how close the league is. You're on top of the league and your goal difference is +7. And you go to NPL1, Avondale's +30 or 40 or whatever it is. So no one's even in +10. I always look at a ladder with the goal difference. That's a pretty good indicator of where you are in the league as well. Now, you've coached in NPL1 before, Louis. So do you think it's actually a bit more difficult in NPL2, especially with the way the league is to coach? I looking from the outside in, I hate to coach in NPL2. I reckon it'd be so difficult.
Look, it's not an easy battle at the moment, as I said, because of the so many clubs that want to fight and try and get promoted. It's a week-to-week proposition, as we know. NPL1 is a very tough league, and you mentioned Avondale there, but Avondale's the team that's on fire, and they're doing really well. They play a great brand of football. They're scoring numerous goals. But if you look at that ladder, as you mentioned there, Mark, clubs are scoring goals, clubs are conceding goals. So what that tells me, it's a great brand of football that you can go on the weekend and watch a good game of football and see goals. Because everybody complains, there's only one goal sometimes in football and you miss it, etc., blah, blah, blah. But as you can tell by that ladder, there's always 2, 3, 4 goals a game. So Spectator-wise, it's fantastic. Sorry, but as a coach, it can give you heart attacks, unfortunately.
I mean, just have a look at Bulleen Lions in second last spot, and they've got a positive goal difference. When do you see that anywhere? I mean, that's insane. Second last on the ladder, and they've got a positive goal difference like that. I mean, that tells you just how crazy and warped it is. And if you look at the other end of the competition standings, Eastern Lions in fifth spot, who are only 5 points off top spot, and they've got a 0 goal difference. Like it's. I mean, if you're going to analyse that, that is just insane. But yeah, look, this week a big game, Lou, against Western United. Obviously, that's at BT CON Reserve, so expecting another big crowd. But it's a case of is it the old soccer versus new football? Should be a good game, though.
Yeah, you could say that, Tonci. But now look, it's first versus second. Big game come Friday night at BT Connor. I know our supporters, they'll definitely fill out the place, and they're going to try and make it a fortress, etc. And West United, the young academy teams love coming to Preston because it's it's an exciting night for them. It's their biggest game of their careers at the moment, such a young age. So it's going to be a great brand of football to watch. We'll be definitely ready for it. We're going to go out there excited and refreshed and ready to rock and roll come Friday night. But I just hope we get a massive crowd come Friday night, not just from our supporters but neutrals as well, because as we keep mentioning, it's really good to the eye to watch our games, especially at home.
100%. My last question to you, Louis. I think you look over the years with the NPL2 competition, with the teams that have gone up, North Geelong, Moreland, Eastern Lions previously, St Albans. They're not the most fancy teams to go up. It's how important is it to have a really good club culture? Because obviously those clubs, they had a really tight-knit dressing room and a good club culture. That's what's probably got them up against the odds. So how much do you value that?
Yeah, look, that's one of the prerequisites to come to our club. We want our change room, everybody to get along. And it's not easy when you go to work or you play sport. Not everybody's going to get along with everybody. There will be a couple of players that will get on more so than other people. But we don't accept individuals. We don't accept arrogance or stupidity. We just want boys that will give everything, 1 for themselves, 2 for the teammates, and 3 for the club. And that's the change room that we've got. The last few years we've had that. Some phenomenal faces in that change room, and there's a lot of boys still that have been part of it the last 3-4 years, even before COVID in 2019, that were at the club. They're still there. They're there for a reason, because they love coming to that environment and being part of it. But yeah, look, I think if you want to be successful, that change room needs to have a smile on it, and through the ups and the downs, because that's football, that's sport, that's life. You're going to have some good moments. You're going to have some moments that you wish never happened. But again, you stick together, and eventually you'll definitely succeed. And succession is based on your goals, your ambitions, your drive, but more so what you want to achieve as an individual.
Yeah. Lou, we're going to have to leave you there. Unfortunately, time's running out. But before we do that, you've been at Preston now for almost 6 years in the role of coach. And you've seen a lot of changes, dramatic changes in that time. Would you say that at the moment this is the healthiest that the Preston Lions have been probably since the old NSL days, on and off the field?
Yeah, I do. It's my 7th year this year. I played at the club back in 97, 98, 99. And, so we as a club, went through that transition from the NSL and so on. And I do believe the club is in a very good position or situation. And there's reasons for it. There's a lot of good people that have been helping out the club, especially in the last 7 years that I've been involved with the club. And just prior to that, if you remember, the club went through a few ups and downs as well back 10 years ago, but it's come back a lot bigger and stronger, and it's definitely moving in the right direction. And our goal as a club is just to keep getting better at the one percenters and making sure the people that are sponsoring and supporting the club, that they're number one to us. And we can't thank them enough for their support, be it financially, be it just coming to the games week in, week out. It's they keep supporting our backs through the thick and thin, and we, once you stick together as a unit, the club is only going to go one place, and that's up.
Absolutely. Caroline Springs George Cross President Mark Sultana, he makes a very, very good comment. Preston Lions Football Club are the benchmark. Absolutely love it. And we've got a very good, nice message from Preston Lions Football Club, the official club. Thank you, Tonci and Mark, Football Out West, for your ongoing support. We look forward to a big Friday night at Jenner Steel Stadium. That's at 8:30 p.m. this Friday night. It's the long weekend, folks. Start your long weekend in the best way possible. It's, what is it, the Queen's birthday, King's birthday, Monarch's birthday, whatever it is, all roads lead to BT Calder Reserve. That's 8:30 p.m. kickoff. Lou, wishing you all the very best, not just for this Friday, but for the rest of the season. And as Mark said, the sooner we get Preston back up to NPL Victoria, the better.
Yeah, no, thanks again for having me on. Really appreciate it. And you guys are doing a great job. So just the whole football community.
Good on you. Until next time, Louis. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Mark, well done. This is like, it's, as you said, it's just getting them back. They're going to have the crowds are going to swell. The rivalry is going to increase across the board. And look, there's even talk that Preston they've just finished building one grandstand. There's already talk that they're going to build another grandstand. I think a 5,000 seater on the opposite side. And it'll really become a fantastic boutique stadium that is just going to be ready for the national second division whenever that kicks off.
Yeah, 100%. They do so much work behind the scenes, and like Louis said, their women's program, their senior men's program, juniors, crowds, sponsors. I don't think anyone does it better than Preston. So, I think when they do come up, I think they'll be a title contender for NPL1.
There you go. Be cool. But, absolutely anything is possible. Now, last year, Preston was in NPL3. Let's very, very quickly go through the NPL3. And if we think the competition of chaos is NPL2, well, NPL3, it also has absolutely everything. And on the weekend, we had all sorts of interesting results. None more so than Essendon Royals, who have got out of that relegation zone temporarily, albeit, but they defeated North Sunshine Eagles 1-0 over the weekend. North Sunshine previously were in second spot, and if that's not just chaos, then I don't know. But let's go through those results in round 12 of NPL3 Victoria, Mark.
Do you have those results handy, Tonci?
I do. I do. So we've got Box Hill United went down to Caroline Springs George Cross 2-1. So the Georgies are slowly working their way up, moving closer and closer to the promotion zone. Another club that got promoted from state this time from State League One last year. We've got, as we mentioned, Essendon Royals defeated North Sunshine Eagles 1-0. Nunawading City smashed Ballarat City in Ballarat 5-1 to jump back into second spot on the competition standings. Melbourne Victory easily over Beaumaris 4-0. So they've now opened up a 4-point gap now at the top of the ladder. Then we had Goulburn Valley Suns, a very important away win, 2-1 over Boroondara Carey Eagles. And the Suns now move to, within 1 point of the promotion zone, let's call it that. And Doveton defeated Geelong 2-1 in the final game. So as we can see, their victory on top. Nunawading City second. The Goulburn Valley Suns, North Sunshine, Caroline Springs, they're all just biting at Nunawading City's tail. Then Doveton, Boroondara, Beaumaris, Geelong, Essendon Royals, and only 1 point ahead of Box Hill United and Ballarat City, looking like they will go to State League One next season. But those are the games that happened on the weekend. And if we quickly have a look at the games coming up next weekend, and then we're going to turn our attention to the state leagues. But we've got round 13 next week. It all kicks off on Friday night. We've got a couple of games on Friday night. Box Hill United at home to North Sunshine Eagles at Wembley Park. Essendon Royals taking on Nunawading City.
Now, can the Essendon Roars now defeat the second place Nunawading City like they did to North Sunshine? Beaumaris at home to Goulburn Valley Suns on Saturday. Boroondara hosting Caroline Springs George Cross also on Saturday. And then Geelong taking on Ballarat City at Stead Park in Geelong, 6 p.m. kickoff. And then Sunday we've got Melbourne Victory at home to Doveton. But mate, we're going to take a very, very short break. When we return, we're going to look at State League football, and we're going to jump straight to State League 2, where we're going to be joined by the Western Suburbs coach, MARIJAN CVITKOVIC. Western Suburbs enjoying a little bit of a resurgence, and our guest is someone that you know very, very well, Mark. So we look forward to that on the other side of the break, folks. Don't go away. Very, very shortly, we'll be speaking to MARIJAN CVITKOVIC, coach of Western Suburbs.
Carpentry by NJT is based in the Western Suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's Western Suburbs, including ambitious State League 1 outfit Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show, Mark. And who's our guest next?
Yes, former NPL gold medalist and now assistant coach at Western Suburbs is MARIJAN CVITKOVIC.
How are you guys?
Good evening, MARIJAN. How are you?
How are you, Tonci?
Hello, Marty.
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good. Let's turn our attention straight away to State League 2 football over the weekend. And look, let's go through the results firstly. Albion Rovers defeated Epping City 4-2. Altona East Phoenix and Clifton Hill, the two table toppers, they drew 0-0. That's an interesting one. Geelong Rangers went down 1-0 to Hume United. Hoppers Crossing, Brenton Ray's team, they're doing really well. They're just jumping away from the relegation zone. A very important 3-0 win over Altona North. And Layla United 4-1 away winners over Mill Park. But the big game at Western Suburbs there, involving your team, MARIJAN, and Westvale Olympic, 2-0 winners to Western Suburbs. Great result. How did you see that game, first of all?
Yeah, first of all, it was a really good result for us, obviously, to stay in contention and stay close on the heels of Altona East and Clifton Hill, who are having, amazing seasons themselves. Fair to say that it was a pretty cagey first half. I thought we knew that Westvale have a lot of strengths, and credit to them, they came out really strong, especially in the midfield. Fair to say that it was a tussle, that they probably had the upper hand in the first half. A lot of set pieces, which credit to our defence, they managed to withstand. And then, fortunately, half time 0-0, we'll manage to reset, reevaluate, and credit to the boys. They came out second half and done the job, and 2-0 victory. So it was really pleasing.
And how are you enjoying coaching, MARIJAN? It's your second stint. You were, I guess, interim coach at Melbourne Knights at one point when we worked together, and now really diving into it with Harry Matkovic down at Western Suburbs.
Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it. Just as you mentioned, like with Harry, he's been, a great source of support for myself, and I find myself, extremely fortunate to be working alongside Harry, who's obviously got a wealth of knowledge, and such a coaching pedigree at this level, and obviously a distinguished playing career. So, to be able to learn off Harry and the guidance and the support that he's been able to give me has been just amazing for myself. And just his knowledge of the game and some of the decisions that he makes during a game and what he's able to foresee and the way he reads the match, is sometimes something that we look back and recap, and I think to myself, and I ask Harry for his guidance. I think, what did you decide to do there, or what were you thinking? And just his knowledge of the game is just something that I'm really taking on board. And we did work together at that Knights period. I think it was the tail end of 2019, and I look at that, and I just take that all on board now as a learning experience. Yeah, so you were there. We were, I think, involved in 3 different competitions at one stage. The league itself, the Doherty Cup, and the FFA Cup, and you look back and you take that all on board as a learning curve, and just continue to learn each and every day as we go on. So I'm very fortunate.
Marijan, if we look at now at the opposition, your opposition for the race for promotion, obviously Clifton Hill and Altona East on the weekend drawing 0-0, but Clifton Hill's talisman player John McShane suspended now for 9 games, a former NPL player, and Raymond Brasileiro has put it in the comments section. So thank you for Raymond for telling us about that, and Brenton Ray informed us last week. How much of a handicap is that going to be for Clifton Hill, particularly in the next few weeks, as clubs like Altona East, Western Suburbs as well, Hume United start biting at their tails?
Yeah, I mean, if any team's got John McShane in their squad and you lose him for such a sustained period of time, it's going to be difficult to replace. That's just, unfortunate. But I suppose for ourselves, we focus on what we're doing, and we're currently, on a good run. I think 3 games on the trot. We've got our, first away win of the season, so it's been a bit of a monkey on our back. We travelled to Laylaw, which was a difficult ground. It's a synthetic pitch there. We managed to get the 3 points there, and we've continued our, strong home run as well, where we haven't dropped any points at home. So we're just trying to focus on ourselves, each week, one week at a time. And that's all. We're not trying to look too far into the season, but it's a very tight competition. As you said, there's Clifton Hill, Altona East have, an amazing list, well coached. You look at Albion as well, George Cataforis, fantastic coach there, and a great list there as well. West Vale, Hume. It's a very healthy and tight competition. But yeah, as mentioned, we just focus on ourselves one week at a time and do what we have to. So,
yep.
How do you find the level, Marijan, look of the way the game's played at State 2 level? Obviously you're around the highest level in Victoria for a long time and coached at that level too. So has it been an easy transition or difficult to adjust to that level? Or
look, it's healthy in the sense that technically there's a lot of talented players that probably go missing in the state leagues that definitely can compete at an NPL level, throughout all the different levels of NPL. I think there's a lot of players even within our 4 walls that are more than capable of playing NPL. And there's so many good players across these state leagues that perhaps don't get an opportunity or don't get a chance, or maybe it's their own individual confidence. It's a very tough league. I think it's without a doubt a very physical league in that sense. I think NPL technically, tactically is obviously naturally a lot more advanced. And I think in the state leagues, there's a technical component as well, but it's also very physical, which you might not get that aspect within an NPL environment. So I definitely think there's different degrees, but overall, the level of fitness and the athleticism of the players is almost on par. I think that's something that's very common in football today now. There may be players from our era, Mark, growing up, were a lot more technical, maybe not as fit, whereas now the athleticism and, the sports science and the recovery and all that goes behind it, the players enjoy it, and that's important. So, obviously there's different techniques and different, areas and skill sets compared to NPL, but overall, it hasn't been much different of a transition.
Yeah. Well, we've got late breaking news. Our man Craig Filer, he never rests, he never sleeps. Thanks, Craig, for letting us know. There is a tribunal on Wednesday, so this may be overturned. Let's not prejudge until all the facts have been given. So I think he's talking about John McShane, which is interesting. Brenton Ray does say there was another red card to the Altona North assistant coach. He was shown a slice of tomato, according to Brenton Ray, from the match referee for abusing the linesman in or around the 70th minute. So lots of action happening in NPL2 competition. That's for sure. Now we've had a few coaches in recent weeks from the lower leagues or the state leagues, And it's interesting talking to them about the way they approach the games. And several have always said, there's no rest. A coach's job is really hard because you've got to go to work on Monday morning, but your mind's still thinking about the game. Next week, obviously, one game's over, you straight away turn your attention to next week. How are you going to approach next week's game going forward with this week?
Yeah, so next week's a little bit more different. It's not your traditional Saturday kickoff. So we've got Albion on the Friday night. So a little bit of a shuffle to our schedule, but definitely a game that we're looking forward to. Obviously, Albion, we respect them very much as a club and as a team, and that'll definitely be a really tough showdown at their ground. They're starting to come up the ladder. They always were a bit of a shaky start for them, but it was only a matter of time before they started to notch up some collective wins, and they've been able to do that. So I think it's going to be a very healthy battle. So looking forward to it on the Friday night.
Mark?
Yeah, where do you see yourself going from here, Marijan? Is this a potential coaching gig that you're looking for, or is it you just helping HE out? Or I've always said that you should have gone coaching.
Oh, look, I'm definitely enjoying it. Yeah, like without a doubt. I think once you step away from that playing aspect, you can focus in, and you still have that passion for football, and you're still involved, and you still have that energy, for the game. And I think that's important. And to be able to give something back to the playing group and to help the individuals on the park and the boys on the park is, something that I really treasure, to be able to give something back. So I'm enjoying it, man. I'm not thinking too far ahead. If something comes up, let it be. But at the moment, I'm just, really trying to stay grounded and learn as much as I can off H.E., who's been, as I said, amazing to be able to be in that position. Very fortunate. So, just taking it one step at a time, man. So.
Marijan, thank you. We're going to leave you with that, and thanks for joining us here on the Football Out West Show. Been a pleasure to have you on board. Western Suburbs taking on Albion Rovers. That's at Kevin Flint Reserve this Friday night, 8:30 p.m. kickoff. And loving these Friday night games. It's what a way to start the weekend under lights. It must be magic, that atmosphere under the lights, and kicking the weekend off in that way.
Absolutely, and thanks a lot, Tonci. Thanks a lot, Mark, for having me. Really appreciate it, guys, and all the best with the show, and thank you once again.
Good on you. MARIJAN CVITKOVIC, the co-coach of Western Suburbs there in State League 2. Now, before we take a look at the women's competition, we're just going to very, very quickly have a look at the men's State League 1 and some of the results that were there on the weekend. Whittlesea Rangers 1, Sydenham Park 2. So Sydenham Park now have opened up a bit of a gap there at the top, near the top, between themselves and third-placed Westgate. Sydenham doing very, very well, and they really are have got one eye on promotion, along with Altona City, the runaway competition leaders. Now, Altona City on the weekend, they had a very narrow but very important 2-1 win over third-place Westgate. So they've now really opened up a sizable gap. Now, they've got that game in hand against Upfield, the abandoned game. That's still to be decided when that is going to be replayed, probably during one of the catch-up rounds. The other games saw Banyule City defeat Yarraville on the road. Upfield defeated FC Strathmore 4-3 also on the road, and Brimbank Stallions did the same when they travelled to Keilor Park Recreational Reserve and defeated bottom side Keilor Park 3-0. Whittlesea United, they defeated Corio 4-0. And as we said, Altona City defeated Westgate 2-1. So an interesting sort of a competition there as well. They're all very interesting in their own ways. But I guess out of all of them, this one has probably got more interest in the bottom, who's going to join Keilor Park. Well, that's what we say. It's at the halfway mark of the season. There's plenty of games left, but at the moment, Keilor Park really struggling, Mark. But having said that, all it takes is them to, put a couple of good results back to back, and they might be ready to jump out of that dreaded relegation zone.
Yeah, it's gonna take a lot of work to get out of that zone, but a fall from grace for Whittlesea Rangers as well. They're only in NPL2 a few years ago, so
Yes.
It just goes to show how quickly things can change in football.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a very, very short break. When we do return, we're going to be talking NPLW football with the coach of Box Hill United, BOBBY ZDRAVKOVSKI. They had a very, very big win, very important win over the weekend against Calder United. We'll hear all about that on the other side of the break. Folks, we're heading towards stoppage time. Not much longer to go. Thank you for being a part of tonight's show. And there's still one more guest to go. And it is the Football Out West Show.
Welcome to Anytime Fitness in Werribee.
The club with the most supportive, welcoming and friendliest members and staff.
Whether you're a first-timer, gym goer or just an everyday person, we are here for you.
A recently renovated facility offers you everything you need to get started with your health and fitness goals.
Our club offers brand new state-of-the-art cardio equipment, an amazing functional zone for group classes, a lifting zone, and really does cater for every single person. So don't miss out. Come see us in club to redeem this offer.
Welcome back to the Football Out West Show. And last but certainly not least, it is an absolute pleasure to bring our next guest on. He is the coach of the Box Hill United NPLW side, and it's Bobbby ZDRAVKOVSKI. How are you, Bobbie? Nice to see you.
No, thanks, Tonci. Thanks, Mark, for having me on the show.
Now I'll start it off. Now, on the weekend, a really important game. That was against Calder United on the road, but at Keilor Park Recreation Reserve, you came away with a very, very important, very handy 3-0 win. Take us through that game.
Yeah, it was actually 3-1, Tonci. So
3-1, was it?
Yeah.
My apologies.
It was a good game. We started off a bit slow, probably the first 15, 20 minutes, but it was a good, solid performance. So we've backed it up the last 3 weeks. So it was a good open-ended game. End to end, we created a lot of opportunities and probably deserved to not score. Probably a bit unlucky not to score a few more.
I noticed you've brought in a few A-League W players into the squad the last few weeks, Bobbie. How did you go about recruiting those players, and obviously they've made a massive difference to the team?
Yeah, so the 4 players that have actually come in were 3 of them, 3 players were already there from last season. So in Sophia Sakalis, Mindy Barbieri, and Emily Koss. So the only other player that we did get was Rosie Curtis. So a total of 4. 2 established A-League players, but also with Emily Koss and Rosie being part of Victoria Scholarship contracted players. Probably didn't get enough game time in the A-League, but they're now slowly getting their match fitness back to where they need to be.
Yeah, having a look at the latest round of matches, and it started off on Friday night. We had a goal fest at BT Con Reserve. This is in the big double header there. Preston 3, Alamein 3. Then obviously on Saturday we had 3 games, including the Calder United Box Hill game, which, as you said, Bobbie, Box Hill won 3-1. We had Southern United taking on Bayside United. That was at the Salandra Recreation Reserve. Bayside came away with a 3-2 win. Then there was the game at Veneto Club on Saturday night when Preston Lions defeated the leaders Boroondara Kerry Eagles 3-2. And then earlier this afternoon, the big Greek derby at Olympic Village, Heidelberg United 2 defeated South Melbourne 0. It could have been 3-0 late in the game, but the stand-in South Melbourne goalkeeper managed to save that and then also saved the rebound as well. So incredible scenes there. But if we have a look at the ladder after round 12, Boroondara on top, narrowly, with South Melbourne and Preston Lions both on 20 points and South slightly superior goal difference. Then comes Heidelberg on 19 points, Bayside on 17, Alamein 16, so very, very close there. Preston on 14, and then Calder United and Box Hill both on 13 at the moment. Football Victoria emerging on 8 points, and Southern United at the foot of the competition standings. But Bobbie, what's your take on this first year of the expanded competition? It's gone from 8 teams to 11 teams. There's a lot of people concerned that the talent pool would be diluted, but from
from what I can look at from the outside looking in, it's anything but that.
Nah, it's actually it's made the league a lot better, a lot stronger. A lot of teams. I mean, you see what Boroondara have done, Preston that have come in. I know Southern have only had one draw, but they've been competitive over the last few weeks and been a bit unlucky. And I had the privilege of playing in the Nike Cup a few weeks ago against Brunswick Juve with Josip's team. And we ended up winning that 7-5, which hasn't been probably spoken about, which was one of the most craziest games being involved in a football game. But, you know, credit to the VPLW teams also, like with Brunswick Juve and Josip, what they're doing at Brunswick with the female program is exceptional. And you never know. And they could be coming up as well, like hopefully next season along with Essendon Royals.
Well, would you believe they actually lost earlier today against Casey Comets in what must have been a very, very strange result. 2-1 win there to Casey Comets. But we've got Essendon Royals looking very, very good at the top of the women's VPL, followed by Ringwood City. Casey Comets then have jumped into third spot. Brunswick still has a game in hand, so they could quite easily jump into second spot. Geelong Galaxy had a massive 9-0 result over Eltham Redbacks, so they certainly have gone up there. Spring Hills, they've got a game in hand as well. They're on 18 points. Then we've got Melbourne University, South Yarra, Eltham Redbacks, and then the two teams that have really underperformed this year, Glen Waverley and Monbulk Rangers. But at the moment, Essendon Royals, do we know how many are getting promoted from the VPLW next year into NPL?
So what I've known, what I've been told, or what's going around, is probably a top two and bottom, and the team that finishes bottom of NPLW gets relegated, and the top two of VPLW will get promoted.
So it'll be a 12-team competition next year. That's the aim.
Yeah, that's the aim.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Mark, what do you think? I think it keeps it sustainable. It doesn't grow too quick. And I think it's kind of a responsible growth, if anything.
Yeah, I think it's better to do it in a staggered way as well, like Football Victoria has done. But it'd be great to see Essendon Royals go up there. They run a fantastic women's program. You know, if you go on their social media, there's more attention on their women's team than the senior men's team.
Yeah,
you know, and their senior men's teams, you know, got a fair few star players in there. So to give their women's team more attention just speaks volume of how much they treat women's football.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, turning our attention to this weekend's competition, we've got Alamein taking on Calder United. This is on Saturday. Bayside United hosting Boroondara Carey Eagles. On Sunday, we've got South Melbourne taking on FV Emerging, and then next Monday night, big Monday night clash, Bulleen Lions taking on Heidelberg. But on Saturday at 5:45 p.m, so an evening kick-off there at the Salandra Recreation Reserve, Southern United hosting Box Hill United. Now, Bobby, as you said, they've only managed to, draw one game this year and lose 10. So on paper, it should be an easy win. But we always know, as you said, they're very competitive at this stage.
They are.
How are you going to avoid that, I won't say cockiness, but that overconfidence that sometimes players can look at when they see the ladder positions?
Yeah, so I've already, and that's our aim during the week to the players. Don't take this game lightly. You know, we're gonna set up, prepare like any other game. We're gonna focus on ourselves and improve in the game how we're trying to implement to play. You know, we know that they're gonna probably play a low block, or you know, try and hold us for as much as they can, but we just need to be patient. And so it'll be an exciting one.
Excuse my ignorance with this question, Bobby, but how do you prepare for a game? You know, with all the streaming and all that's available, is there video analysis that's involved at this level, and how much detail do you go into?
Yeah, well, that's the good thing about NPL Women. So every game's live streamed. So I look at the opposition week in, or go to or try to catch a game live. But you know, I get, you know, for example, this week I'll be looking at Southern's game, what they do well, what they need to improve on, and also look at our game over the weekend, because we do still need to improve on aspects of our game. So that's that. Like, we're fortunate enough that every game's taped in our league. So yeah, it makes life a bit easier for us.
Yeah. On paper, it might be an easy game this Saturday, but then the following week there's a really tough game when you travel to the Veneto club to take on Burundara Kerry Eagles. So 2 very important games coming up over the next fortnight. Bobby, we wish you all the very best, and to everyone at Box Hill United for the remainder of the NPLW season. And thank you so much for joining us. It's great to actually have someone from the NPLW competition as well on our show.
No, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. You're doing a great stuff, and yeah, keep up the good work.
Oh, well, there's been a lot of love from our guests tonight. I'll let it continue, though. So thank you, Bobby. All the very best.
Likewise.
Good on you. Oh, it's great.
Much love. This must be me. Tonci
must be you, mate. You must be attracting all this love. Yeah. Folks, don't go away. We're going to wrap up tonight's show. But tomorrow on our sister podcast, The Game of Two Halves, a major announcement about our very, very special guest. And yes, you'll be really, really floored. It's a local but a very international flavour. More about that very, very shortly after this break, and then it'll be time to wind up. Welcome back to the Football Out West show. We're nearly out of time. Thank you very much, Mark, for jumping into the off the substitutes bench and replacing our birthday boy Steve Curtin. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show tonight. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you, Tonci. I did enjoy it. So it's good fun to talk football with some people.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much to everyone who tuned into tonight's show. Now, our sister podcast, the podcast that our parent body Community Sports Media Services also produces, The Game of Two Halves, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Tomorrow, in the Global Game segment, we've got a former North Geelong footballer who is now currently in Europe. A year ago, this fellow was playing in front of 200, maybe 300 players. Fans in front of 200, 300 fans. I'm getting excited just talking about this. Now he's representing Croatia at under 17 level. He's played in the UEFA Youth Champions League, and he's an absolute superstar for his new club, Hajduk Split. We are talking, of course, about Noah Skorko, and Noah will be joining us live and exclusive tomorrow night on the Game of Two Halves podcast. That is at 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Put your questions in the comments section. We'd love to ask him a question that has been posed by our fans. And he'll also have some very special words of advice for talented young footballers of how they too can, in the foreseeable future, make it big in Europe and follow in Noah's footsteps. That's on tomorrow night on the Game of Two Halves podcast. Mark, once again, thank you very much, and good night to you.
Good night, Tonci.
Good night, folks.